Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are here to talk about something that every enterprise is dealing with, but it rarely gets ahead of. So, if you look at most enterprises today, it's not that they lack tools; they have just invested heavily, and monitoring systems, dashboards, and alerts, and automation layers, everything can get overwhelming. And the infrastructure gap is real. So today's session looks at how organizations can move towards predictive, connected, and more autonomous infrastructure using our very new framework, Strata. With that, I would like to introduce our speaker. Anuj Teli is the Chief Information and Security Officer at Cygnet. He brings over a decade of experience across cybersecurity, cloud, and enterprise IT, with a strong focus on building scalable, secure, and cost-efficient systems. I would just like to inform that we'll be taking up a few questions post the session. Meanwhile, during the sessions, you can drop all your queries in the Q&A box. With that, over to you, Anuj.
Thanks, Yogita. Thank you everyone for joining in. So as Yogita rightly said, the points that we are planning to discuss today is more on to what are the current things that an organization utilize at multiple levels, even being intelligent in silos, how they can cause problem for the organization, and what is our framework that Cygnet has developed, which organizations can utilize and implement robust infrastructure and security frameworks. So what is the problem right now? What we have identified is failures have become rare. Infrastructure related issues, infrastructure related problems have been a thing in the past or something that is very minimal, but as and when it happens, it is always critical. Primary reasons, the transaction volumes are high, and an organization who is good and active on the digital side or even not on digital side, but having a lot of interconnected systems, the peak transaction volumes are also very high. High customer engagement windows, so everyone is online, everyone is having a smart device, everyone is working or performing any activities, be it onto just engagement or buying or performing any specific task online on daily basis. And a lot of a lot of businesses are time sensitive, so any operations that is time sensitive, in case the failure happens during that window, it is always critical for the organization. The primary impacts because of this, what we have seen is there is a huge revenue or SLA loss. There are penalties that the organization has to face, because of which there are a lot of customer experience degradation that happens, and that can lose the trust in the organization for the customers, and eventually going for a reputation loss. As I said, issue might not be frequent, but the timing and impact can be very critical or even make or break the organization completely. What we have seen with this is it is not about technology, it is about how fast and how good you are at detection, number one, identification, number two, and how proactive you can work into your environment to ensure that the issues are mitigated at least at the least problematic state rather than at the very end. So capabilities, all organizations now have automated monitoring tools and observability tools. They also work with real-time dashboards and analytic platforms. With AI coming in, with a lot of vectorized data, people have started working onto those sites. Automated alerting and escalation systems are also there. So you get an alert, the escalation is being done to level one, then level two, then level three, then the seniors in that segregation, in that ascending order, to ensure it is being identified by someone. SLA tracking and reporting frameworks are also implemented, right? So we have Mitre framework, we have CVSS for security, and so on and so forth is already been implemented. Having said that, we also have seen a lot of gaps that still exist, most probably onto the intelligent tool side. So even if having a lot of intelligence tool is something that has happened, but there is no interconnectivity between the tools. They work in silos, and there is no unified intelligence across these tools that has ever been utilized, right? If it is utilized, it is for some of the aspects, not the complete area, which even causes more problems at the time of detection and identification of issues. Limited predictive capabilities. So even with all the analytics, all the details, the stalling of the data, the information that is coming in, the analytics and the predictiveness of the issue that can come in is always less, it's limited. And everything still works on a reactive incident management system. The system that we have seen right now in most of the organizations are not smart enough or are not interconnected enough that in case there is some issue that happens at system A, it is able to identify what it can go and cascade to, let's say, system B or the internal part of your network, which is very critical, right? So despite there is maturity in the tools, outcome still remains inconsistent, and this is because there is no framework that we have seen around all of these aspects which can help the organization achieve the right goal that they want. What is the core gap? So again, what we have highlighted is what we have seen, how we have seen. Now we'll see what the actual problem is. The first and the foremost is the overburden of information that happens when it comes to implementation of intelligent tools. You need 10 alerts, you need 15 alerts, and you are being bombarded with hundreds, thousands of alerts that are coming in. And that becomes a problem on identification and reaction at the right time. That is one of the most important problems. Second, alerts are not generated with business context. So tomorrow, let's say there are two systems, the critical system as well as the non-critical system, both are having the same level of alert configured of having, let's say, 85% CPU usage, that there should be an alert, right? Now the priority based on the criticality is not been defined for the alerts as well. And because of that, if somebody picks up the second ticket first, which is for non-critical system, the organization can have a major problem because the critical system is not being addressed. A silo tool with limited interpretability. So basically, let's say your EDR, your system data, your cloud data, everything is in silos. You see one spike into one of that particular aspects, and you're not able to correlate it on from when and how it got started. That also creates major problems. And dependency on manual interpretation and response. So because of all of these things, there are people with knowledge in the organization which understands and see what is the problem, how it has been done, and what has been resolved, rather than having a process to identify that. And that also creates a lot of problems. What are the issues because of these problems? The first and the foremost is slow root cause analysis or slow root cause identification. This would significantly delay on the response as well as the remediation side, because you are not able to find the root cause at the very start. You fix one system, but the actual issue is into a completely different application or different system that is there, and that causes major problems. Increased operational complexity. So if everything is in silos, only some team knows some particular parts. When it comes to an issue or an incident, it always becomes very critical to get everyone on the same page, identify the issues, and then take necessary actions on that. And again, with all of these things, there is always a higher chance of business disruption that can happen. So we are introducing something called a strata framework. Before that, we'll discuss onto the operational challenges as well. So we discussed onto the key areas and the core gaps that are there. The operational challenges is always related to the fatigue that is being caused to the team members, as well as the irrelevant notifications that happens. Manual and time consuming root cause analysis. Again, the team members have to be there. So that is an operational challenge where you need people with right skills, with right understanding of the system to actually able to perform activities around that. It is not SOP driven, or it is not a process driven system. Delayed incident response and resolution. Again, the same thing. Because of the root cause analysis issues, you always would have a response and resolution issue attached to that. Fragmented visibility across on-prem and cloud environments. So as the intelligence systems are different, even if you are utilizing AI, you're not getting everything correlated at a single point. If there is no single point of truth, the failure and the fragmented visibility would never work as a single orchestration for your infrastructure and security. And finally, security operation teams work independently. So security and operations, we have seen in a lot of places where there is a separate NOC team, separate SOC team, and they are not talking to each other, or there is a very limited information that has been traveled. that causes issues at the time of critical events. Let's say there is an infrastructure down or there is some major security incident going on. These two teams needs to work completely in sync with dependency on both of them to identify the issue and then take right actions around that. This would, again, with operational impact, there is always a downtime risk. If it is not being identified at the right time, it won't be able to fix, we won't be able to fix that at the right time. The efficiency of the team always reduces. Lot of events, lot of alerts, which most of them are not relevant. Getting an alert that the system is running good on 30% at every 5 minutes is not a good alert. If at the time that it reaches a particular threshold and then the alerting starts, then that makes sense. So those type of issues, those type of points are something that creates a major problem. And finally, higher operational cost. So again, you need multiple teams, you need multiple systems. You are not coinciding the data, and at the time of issue, a per second issue, per minute issue based onto your operations can cause a lot of financial burn for the organization as well. So if you're saving for not correlating the data into a system, that can be a major problem at the later part, because the issues can take more time to get fixed. What is required, right? So as part of our strata framework, which we'll be disclosing just after this, the primary part is to move, let's say, from reactive to predictive. Anything that happens and we detect, perform activities after it has happened, versus we anticipate that if we do this change, or if this is the particular threshold that has been hit, this is what can happen. Manual versus manual to autonomous. Human-driven interventions are good, but it should be an intervention. It should not be a process that every human needs to do. Let's say there is a RAM increase, there is a CPU increase where the system shutdown is not required, no downtime is required. You can get automated scripts, automated templates to be working and get a complete autonomous system around that. Fragmented were too connected. So any isolated or fragmented systems are there, we should move it to a complete connected, unified and integrated ecosystem where we have a single point of truth into the system. Static to self-learning. Static fixed cost, fixed configuration. Self-learning would be understanding the automated part to identify what the issue is and change the environment and the script based on to that particular aspects. Now introducing Strata. So what we discussed on the previous slides, Strata is an embedded framework. It is a multi-layered framework which embeds into your system, complete AI ops driven analytics system. Over here, we perform predictive and proactive operations. Automated response and remediation is also being taken care of once the playbooks and the runbooks are being created. It is to strengthen and create a resilient environment, and finally optimize performance and cost continuity continuously as well, right? So this is a complete framework where we have touch based on to both the security infrastructure and the cost layer, and helps organization achieve their security goals with keeping the infrastructure usability and cost in mind. So it does not shoot up anything. It ensures that all of these points are being created, been taken care of, and there is a real telemetry and processing data that comes to both the team as well as your management, which helps them get confidence onto the system that has been developed. The primary thing with Strata is we propose to have an integrated NOC and SOC capabilities into a single system, which would ensure that everyone has the visibility both on the infrastructure and the security side, and the intelligent decision making can be done rather than security team working on their own decisions and networking working on their own decisions. So Strata is an acronym. It's been derived from 6 words, that is sense, transmit, reason, assure, threat shield, and adapt. This is a journey that we propose all organizations to go through. I will discuss on each of these aspects in the later slide, but each layer is built on the previous layer. So you understand it first, then you transmit the details, then you identify what are the things, you assure by implementing the things, you create a complete security part, and then you adapt based on the changes that has been done. Right. So that's how the complete framework has been defined. It is a unified flow of data, intelligence, and action. So From data, whatever has been identified, we create an intelligent layer, and then we perform actions based onto that particular intelligent layer. And finally, it is an end-to-end visibility and control system. So the framework we have designed, which can be a plug and play into any of your tools and processes that you have done in organization. We also help organizations develop that particular processes. And once that has been done, the system adapts itself. There is a review process that is required, but other than that, it adapts itself. And except where there is a regular human intervention required to approve or perform certain activities, everything can be done on the autonomous side. Okay, we'll start with the physical intelligence layer. So that is the sense layer. The primary capabilities of the sense layer is to collect all the data. That is to have everything injected into a central position, be it from server, storage, network devices, or any of the systems that are there. It also performs any of the environmental monitoring health systems. So we do have scripts, we do have identifications from the system from where we get the data. If it is not there, we place that particular devices into the system and get those data as well from where it is being stored. This is applicable specifically for the physical hardware, physical infrastructure that you have kept. We can implement the same for the cloud infrastructure as well, but that depends on to how and where the cloud is being hosted. Real-time infrastructure visibility and across physical and virtual assets. So anything that is there, the visibility, the data can be seen onto a single pane, be it from the cloud or your on-prem infra. And detection and warning signs, early warning signs and anomalies can also be configured at this level. So any of the fluctuations, be it onto your temperature, humidity, power side, or hardware health side, versus anything onto your virtual side, be it RAM, CPU, storage, all of those things can be monitored at a single pane. What it helps in early identification of potential failures. So if we are able to catch these issues fast, we are able to implement controls around that. Improved infrastructure reliability. Again, if we are able to get the primary environmental telemetry data on the system, in case there is some failure or some issue that we identified, be it on the humidity, temperature, power, or hardware side, that can be easily mitigated by doing proper preventive maintenance activities and reduce unplanned downtime. So with all of these things, at least at the hardware level, we are able to reduce the unplanned downtimes that can be there. The next one is transmit. Now from this part, it is all neural connectivity layer that we have created. This is to transmit real-time telemetry and operational data. This can be from your application, from your servers, any of the application server logs that are being generated, any and everything that is there. The primary role of this particular layer is to identify and segregate anything that is a noise versus anything that is an intelligent data that is required. So any redundant signals, any noise that is coming from your systems, we segregate that. It can be from your syslog systems, it can be from your specific connectors that are being there. Anything that comes into the primary database, everything is segregated, and then only it is being shared to the database from where the actions are being taken. Prioritization on critical and accountable alerts. So we identify which are the critical systems based on to the BIA that is done. Once that has been identified, we would only work and perform activities on the critical system first, and then start working onto the lower critical system. So that is an hierarchy that has been built inside, and according to that, the activities would be performed. And seamless integration with centralized monitoring systems and NOC. So we have our own NOC system. For any of the organizations that has their own NOC system, we help them create specific dashboards, either onto their own tool or any of our preferred tools. We help them implement that. We help them configure it and ensure that seamless integration is done from the central database, and they are able to get right alert at the right time rather than bombardment of the alerts coming from multiple systems that are there. This can be from the previous ones that are the physical part, or any of the virtual system alerts as well. Again, the primary thing and the business objective is to reduce alert fatigue, faster and more accurate decision making, and improved signal to noise ratio for the system. So eliminating all the false positives, redundant alert signals, and just focusing on the primary signals that are there. Reasoning part. Over from this part, we start with the AI ops models that we have. This is an advanced anomaly detection using AI ops. With Strata, what we have identified is there are a lot of things that can happen and can be implemented into an organization, which can be a complete automated part. Correlation of events across multiple infrastructure component is something that we do. So be it your mail server, your EDR, your systems, your production servers, all the data is being correlated, identified, and seen on to identify from where the issue has been started and what can go wrong in case it would have cascaded further. Identification of root cause rather than symptoms. So as I said previously as well, if you see an error into a particular server, just changing configuration of the server is not enough. We have to identify the root cause on why that thing has happened. And we are able to do that with this reason layer or the intelligence that we have developed. Automated and assisted remediation workflows. So as I said, this, if we have the playbooks and the runbooks ready, we are able to completely automate the remediation workflow for the organization as well. And this would include a lot of reduction into the redundant tickets that you have as part of your regular activities. Faster incident response, reduction in mean time to detect and mean time to resolve, again with all the intelligence that is there. Proactive issue prevention. So if we are able to identify an error coming on the first at the entry point of the system, we would be able to cascade it to what can go wrong majorly and then stop it even at the very basic or the beginning level. And improved operational efficiency. So anything that we are able to reduce on the downtimes or any unplanned activities would always be an operational efficiency that we have achieved, right? So that's how we perform and we plan to do that. Next one is Assure. So this is the SLA layer that we have implemented. When I say SLA layer, this is where we give the commitments or we configure specific SLAs onto the system, which would ensure that the performance indicators and the matrices are being configured properly. There would be a continuous monitoring and a predictive identification of SLAs that would be done to ensure that there is no specific breach that is done. In case there is something, we identify the root cause and ensure that it does not happen again. Automated corrective and prevention actions and performance tuning is done. So as I said, in case something gets breached on the SLA side, it self heals and identify the system, and the performance tuning has been done for the system as well. Excuse me. And self-healing mechanism to maintain system stability. The self-healing part is to ensure that it is the system that is being done rather than the SLAs or any other activities that can be done to improve the system aspects, and the self-healing of both server systems or any of the configuration changes can be done to maintain that SLA part is something that we implement. With this, we have an improved SLA, consistent service performance throughout the network as well as the users, and that improves the customer as well as the user satisfaction into the environment. Reduce service disruptions. Anything that is going on or anything that is a particular problem which is identified on the SLA side, we are able to reduce that particular aspect. Increase customer satisfaction. So again, as I said, with all of these things, if we are able to achieve our SLAs, if we are able to achieve the performance and the improvement commitments that we have given, that would always improve customer satisfaction. Trust Shield is our security layer. So with the intelligence that we have, we also use a lot of third parties to identify the issues that are being there on the external side of the network, the complete security landscape. And with those information, with those APIs, we are able to do an AI-driven threat detection and analysis system as well. Again, this is not something where we are replacing any of your EDR system or anything like that. It is more of getting all the data from your existing system, and then above that have an intelligence layer which is trained onto the security part to identify which issue can create major problems and which issue is something that can be taken at the later stage. Behavioral monitoring of user system and application. So we link this data with your, let's say, Active Directory or any of your SAML data and see how the user behavior has been done. If you have a user behavior analytics system, we integrate that as well and ensure that it is a holistic approach and holistic details that you get onto the platform that or the framework that we have created. Continuous security posture assessment. So once the system is in place, it has access to all the policies and processes that you have. Any changes that happens is being flagged if it goes below a particular threshold. So I'll just give you an example. Let's say one of your system is being configured to have a 12 character with a high complexity password, and somebody goes in and changes it to a 6 character, no complexity password requirement. That thing is being flagged directly to the administrator, and it ensures as well as the management, and it ensures that you don't go either on the non-compliance or the security issue side, and the posture is being managed onto that particular aspect. Anomalies, intrusions, and suspicious activity detection is also been improved. So all the intelligence that we get from, let's say, your IPS system, your EDR system is being collated at a single place. And if something gets passed and there is a flag onto one of the systems on the EDR side, we trace it back to the anomalies that has been identified on multiple devices and implement the controls around that. Response to advanced zero-day threats. So, as and when we identify a zero-day threat on our primary engine, we cascade that information to all of the deployments that we have done, and that would ensure that the systems are aware about it, the IOCs are being published, and that can be implemented onto your system directly. If the access is to actually implement the system, it would get automatically implemented. If not, it would at least highlight and flag it to the user that this is something that they have to implement. With all of these things, it is to ensure that a strengthened security posture is being implemented with reduced breaches, reduced risk of breaches and data loss. Continuous protection across infrastructure layer is also something that we aim for with this particular aspect, where any of your system, be it hosted onto cloud, on-prem, or even the network devices, if there is something that is going wrong, we get it highlighted and flag it, at least flag it to the administrator at a very early stage. And finally, adapt. That is a continuous optimization bit. Now, with this and the knowledge that we get from all the tools that have been implemented, there is always a continuous learning from infrastructure and behavior usage patterns that we have. This is both on your end user as well as your systems and servers data that we capture. As I said, it can capture the details directly from the logs that are being generated on the system. Or if you're using any UEBA application, we can directly communicate or directly get the details from there. Cost optimization through intelligent workload distribution. So we identify how the cost optimization can be done, which are the systems that are either completely redundant. So you have a backup of a backup of a backup type of hierarchy that is being done, where the final backup is never been touched into last, let's say, 2 3 years or something like that. So that's something that we do, and we give you that intelligent workload distribution pattern and ensure that it has been optimized to a level. And finally, performance tuning on real-time insights. So whatever details we get, we feed that in into your system again, and ensure that real-time insights and real-time updates are being given onto that particular aspect. What we want to identify, what we have a business value out of this is optimize infrastructure cost. It always gets reduced, or at least it has been optimized to a level that anything new can be accommodated to a certain extent into the existing infrastructure. Improved resource utilization. So any of the resources, we ensure that it has been used to its full potential. Having said that, I don't recommend on utilizing, let's say, a server to 90% or 100% capacity, but at least 50 60% where it is a sweet spot for the organization. That level of improved resource utilization is something that we help organizations achieve. Enhance system performance. So with all of these things and the optimization, there would always be an increase in the system performance that we have. And finally, long-term operational efficiency. So at the long term, it is always about operational efficiency. It is always about how good we are at implementing multiple things, and we ensure that it is being done properly. So that's Strata. Finally, the business impact that we get is in operational, we get a significant reduced unplanned downtime. As we are able to detect it faster, we are able to detect it at the very early stage. We ensure that it is being done properly. Improved infrastructure reliability. So with faster detection, with less unplanned downtimes, the reliability on the infrastructure will always increase. Financial lower operational cost and maintenance cost. We identified at the early stage, we remediate it at the early stage, and we do regular preventive maintenance, or at least suggest the organizations to perform regular preventive maintenance for the critical resources. So that always reduces the maintenance cost for the organization. Resource utilization is optimized, ensuring that whatever we learn from the system, we implemented it into the system to ensure better and effective utilization of the complete environment. And if there is a reduced downtime or unplanned downtimes, the cost of having a downtime and any issues related to that is also been reduced. And finally, on the strategic side, your business continuity improves with enhanced frameworks. It always ensures that anything that you are planning to implement, it is being cascaded forward properly. Interconnected systems would identify the issues at the very early stage, and the business continuity issues are being reduced at a significant level. Strong compliance and security posture. Everyone has to go through certifications. Everyone works with a lot of legal entities on regular basis in today's scenario, and because of that, the compliance requirement also increases. So we ensure that with this framework, your security posture and compliance is being taken care of in real time, or at least near real time, rather than being an afterthought. And increase confidence in IT operations. So with all of these things, the management, the customers, the users have an increased confidence on the IT operations, that the systems are going to go down at a very lesser rate rather than going on a frequent basis. Now, with this, we do have introduced a framework previously, that is Orbit. So we have combined these two as a Strata and Orbit, where Orbit takes care of anything that happens on the cloud. It scales, it ensures modernization and agility along with analytics and AI capabilities for cloud. And Strata takes care of everything that is either physical or physical and virtual, or something that is completely hosted onto your on-prem side. Right. So combining both of these, we have a seamless integration between technologies that are there on cloud as well as on-prem, and it can help organization expedite their security, operational, and improvement goals, both for cloud as well as on-prem. Right. Again, having very specific on-prem side, because what we have seen is, even despite having a lot of things on cloud, there are organizations, or almost all the organization would have some amount of infrastructure that is hosted, which is very critical on-prem. And in the generation of cloud, or in the age of cloud, the on-prem infrastructure usually gets neglected, right? So we have that end-to-end solution which helps organization achieve both the aspects. Why Cygnet? So giving the framework which you can utilize, we also have some of the assessments that we'll do. We can do at the later part. We'll just cover it after this slide. As Cygnet, we do have our own NOC and SOC center. It is a single team, a unified, integrated system where they can monitor. They can even create your playbooks for the organization that we want to deploy them to, and ensure that everything has been documented, a process has been set. We are all ISO 27001, 22301, 20001 ITIL certified team, and those things can be directly implemented over there. Being in industry from almost 25, 26 years, we have a deep knowledge on AI ops driven infrastructure management. We have our own data center as well, where we host critical applications, and we also utilize cloud, right? So we have flavor of both, and the team works on both of those particular aspects. As I said, proven experience both on cloud and on-prem side, and strong focus on automation, optimization, and security. So right now, we have automated and implemented multiple security layers, as well as optimization layers for Oracle, AWS, Azure, GCP, as well as on-prem. And those level of knowledge can be directly cascaded to our customers. We work on outcome driven engagement model. So we take your problem statement, we identify the issue, and we actually implemented the things around that particular problem statement, rather than just giving people and you have to guide them to do the things. Scalable and flexible implementation. So we can work in an environment as small as 100 servers, or let's say 100 users, to a highly dynamic complex environment of more than 20,000 users as well, right? So that is that scale that we work on. And continuous improvement and innovation is something that we focus on. So we don't just be in point in time. It is a regular partnered activity that we perform and ensure that you grow with us to implement all of these things further in the organization as well. With that, I'll just quickly highlight onto the phases that we perform as part of the Strata journey. So the first one is an infrastructure assessment. We understand your infrastructure, we understand your requirements that is there. After that, there is a pilot implementation for Strata, which is a controlled setup, controlled environment. We showcase on what are the things that we develop and how it can benefit you as an organization. And once everything is being done, then we do a complete enterprise-wide deployment. This is to have all the intelligence across multiple infrastructure as well as security layers, and getting everything unified at a central point, and then putting the complete AI ops on the top of it. With that, I will just have a closing remark. So, visibility is something that happens, that you know that is happening. Intelligent is to predict what will happen, and action is to prevent the impact on what is going to happen, right? And with Strata, we are planning to bring all of these three together to ensure to have a predictive, proactive resolution to multiple aspects rather than going reactive. With that, I will just hand it over to Yogita for further comments and closing remarks, please.
Thank you so much, Anuj. Actually have a few questions. We'll take up a few from here. I don't think it'll be possible for us to take up all of them. Says the first question is, most organizations already have observability tools. What differentiates Strata's reason layer in terms of true intelligence versus enhanced analytics?
Perfect. So thanks for the question. Now I understand that people have intelligence tool, or the organizations have intelligence tool, and that is the base from where the complete Strata framework started for us as well. The intelligence tool right now, even at a very complex layer, or the most properly configured layer, it still works in silos. So let's say every organization nowadays is multi-cloud, multi-environment type of organization. And to get everything at a single place and do perform activities around that is something that we have not seen in a lot of organizations. I'm not saying that nobody is doing that, but it is very few chunk that has been performing that activity. So what Strata does is, as a framework, we get everything collated. It is more like a data lake house type of activity that we perform with your data, get everything dumped at a central location, and then provide AI ops layer on top of it, right? With that particular aspect, there are two things that happens. Number one, you get the control of your data. You understand on from where the data is being fetched. Is it a real-time data? Is it let's say a 15, 20 minutes, 1 hour old data that is coming onto the system? And from there, you can start performing your analytics, your intelligence, and cross-reference it back using webhooks to the system from where the data is coming in, right? So that is a complete intelligence layer that we are planning to implement, rather than just the observability tools where it understands the data, but it is not able to take any further actions around that.
All right. Thank you, Anuj. The next question we'll take up is, what are the biggest integration challenges when aligning NOC and SOC into a unified intelligence layer, and how have you addressed them?
The primary challenge that we have seen when it comes to knock and sock part is the knock usually goes towards the performance side, and the sock goes to the security side. And that is a quarrel that happens between both the teams at each level in the organization, right? So The knock, they might be, let's say, the SOC wants to implement a CASB or a new EDR system or anything like that, or they are able to identify some issue around that particular aspect and recommend to change a particular thing, which is impacting the performance for the knock team, or they are able to see the degradation in the knock, in the CPU or the RAM utilization because of that. That conflict starts between them, right? And number one is that. Number two, the alerts that are coming to the NOC team versus the alerts that are coming to the SOC team are completely segregated. So at any given point in time, if you want to correlate and identify on what the actual issue is causing because of this particular security incident, you have to go back to the NOC team, identify the issues, they do their own sweet time into analysis, and then they will get those details. With integration, it would, number one, reduce this time of back and forth between these two teams and get to the root cause on the faster level. And number two, they would identify each other's problem on why a particular thing is required versus why it is not required into a security and into a infrastructure environment.
Right. Keeping the time in mind, we'll just take one more question, Anuj. Can you elaborate on how Strata balances automated remediation with governance and risk control, particularly in regulated industries?
That's a good question. Thanks for that. So basically, what we have done or what we have implemented, and we have implemented this framework for us and for other couple of industries already before we launched. So that was our pilot phase that we did. And as part of this particular activities, what we have identified was there are two aspects of security, or there are two aspects of governance and risk control that we do. Number one, which can be completely automated, where it is a very minimal thing or any policy change that we need to highlight on regular basis, versus the second one is more onto which is completely regulated. So I'll just give you an example. Let's say there is any changes that you want to do on the domain controller side. It is a complete regular activity, regulated activity, which can affect a lot of organizations or a lot of people on that. Versus any password change or any account change or any RAM CPU usage increase, all of those things can be an unregulated entity. So we have divided our AI ops into a way where, considering the environment, considering the industry as well as the entity, they can select on which can be automated, completely automated task versus which can be something where a human intervention of approval is required, right? So those activities are being segregated to balance that out. Again, we also can perform, or the tool can, or the framework can specifically perform an activity where it is not just approval, but only recommendations are given and the activity is being performed by the end user or the individuals, but that reduces the automation part. But yeah, approval, verification, and then only implementation on the system is something that we have achieved specifically for the regulated entities.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuj. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We really hope that, now the session has given you a clear perspective on where infrastructure needs to head and how is Strata fitting into that shift. If you'd like to take this further or discuss your specific environment, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen to schedule a one-to-one session with our expert. And thank you again for your time. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you, Anuj. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.